In this video, we're going to talk about how to factor trinomials. When you factor a trinomial, it always needs to first be in standard form, so ax squared plus bx plus c. The sides here always multiply to ac, which is on the top, and they always add to b, which is on the bottom. So on example number 2 here, our coefficient on the squared term is 1, so a is going to be 1, b will be 16 because that's our linear term, and then c is 64. So I set up my x here. A times c goes in the top, so a times c is 64, and the bottom is b, so that's 16. Now I have to write all the factors of 64. So some factors would be 8 and 8, 16 and 4, and then 8 and 8 does make a positive 64, but you also have to remember that a negative 8 and a negative 8 will also give you a positive number. Then we could have negative 16 and negative 4. We could also have 2 and 32, and negative 2 and negative 32, and then 1 and 64, and negative 1 and negative 64. So again, we include those negatives because a negative times a negative is also a positive. Now I look at all those numbers and see which ones add to 16. Well, that's going to be 8 and 8. So those go on our sides here. Once you have these numbers in the sides, that's what's going to go in your parentheses. So we're going to have b plus 8, because our variable is b, times another b plus 8. And that's it. Let's do another one. So number 6 here. So number 6, we have 10r squared minus 65r minus 35. Well, the first thing that I notice when I see this problem is that I can factor out a 5. So I'm going to take out a 5. 10 divided by 5 leaves me with 2r squared. 65 divided by 5 is 13, so that's minus 13r. And then 35 divided by 5 is 7. Now, I can tell you that a is 2, a is 2, b is negative 13, and c is negative 7. Again, I'll set up my x, and the top is a times c, so that's going to be 2 times negative 7, which is negative 14, and that all needs to add to negative 13. So now we're going to write the factors of negative 14. Well, we could have negative 7 and 2. We could have negative 2 and 7. Negative 1 and 14. And negative 14 and 1. Those are the only factors of 14. So now we look at those and see which of those adds to negative 13. And turns out negative 14 plus 1 is negative 13. So I'm going to write out my factor here, r minus 14, r plus 1, but you have to remember this 5 is still out here as well. Now we're not done, because if I were to check my answer from here, r times r is r squared, but we want 2r squared. So what we need to do, since a is not 1, it was something other than 1, 2 in this case, I need to divide my numbers here by a. So I'm going to divide them by 2. So I have 14 over 2, and then r plus 1 over 2. This simplifies to a whole number, so I'll have 5 times r minus 7, but this is not a whole number, so this 2 comes up to this r, we're left with 2r plus 1. So, in factored form, I have 5 times r minus 7 times 2r plus 1. And from there you can double check, 2r times r is going to give us 2r squared. R times 1 is 1r. Then negative 7 times 2 is negative 14r. Plus the 1r that we had earlier makes negative 13r. And then negative 7 times 1 is negative 7. And then of course we multiply all of that by the 5 that we had factored out earlier. So that's our complete answer. We'll do one more. We'll do number 8 here. In number 8, we know a is 1, but we have no b, because again, c is the constant term. So you might think that b is negative 49, but it's not. b is actually 0 in this case, and c is negative 49, because this is a constant. Remember, b is the coefficient on the linear term, so this would have to look something like this right here, where b is 0, a is 1, and c is negative 49. Now I can set up my x. We have a times c at the top, so that's negative 49, and then b at the bottom, which will be 0. So all my factors of negative 49 are negative 49 and 1, negative 1 and 49, and then negative 7 and 7. Well, we want to see which of these factors add up to 0. So that's that one there. So we have negative 7 and 7. So my factor is m minus 7 and m plus 7. Now I want you guys to try the other 5 problems, and that's how you factor trinomials.